All right, Jules, we promised you dive into Chelsea. We're going to get to that in a minute, but first, let's talk more Liverpool. I thought this was curious because I read that Liverpool are filming one of those behind the scenes, fly on the wall documentaries, like the Amazon one, whatever that was called.
Yeah.
What was it?
All or Nothing.
All or Nothing. Which, by the way, seriously, I know like there's probably a team of marketing people. What a stupid, unimaginative title. And aren't subsequent ones where they do other clubs, aren't those also called All or Nothing?
Yeah. Like even the All Blacks one, the rugby ones, everything.
Okay, I understand All Blacks because they're expected to win the World Cup, so if they don't win, it's a fail or whatever. But like,
I know.
All or Nothing, like I don't know. It just seems cheesy. But anyway, Klopp famously, he'd always said he was against this. He was against in years past.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it might. I suspect Klopp is a little bit superstitious. And I remember the last time Liverpool did a behind the scenes documentary. It was the Being Liverpool. This was back in 2012 in the previous era with Gillette and Hicks.
Yeah.
And it was Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah.
And you talk about bad karma.
I mean, just not bad documentary as well. Everything was bad.
It's entertaining. It's entertaining because, like Brendan Rodgers does that little thing, like, where he's holding an envelope and he says, like, I know one of you, these three people will these three players will let us down. And then you find out that, like, the envelope is empty and it's some Jedi mind trick. These are not the droids you're looking for. Or Ian Ayre on a stupid motorcycle. Like, it felt very affected, right? But hey, since then he's been against it. I mean, I don't know if he's been against it, but he's never allowed it since then. And one of the reasons
They've had many offers.
They've had a ton of offers, obviously. And he said, like, I don't know if I could control myself. And even though we should say when we do this, it's not like a club takes money from a broadcaster and then they go behind the scenes and then the broadcaster shows whatever they want. No, the clubs always get the final approval, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But still, he felt that maybe he couldn't control himself or whatever, which is fair enough. So apparently, the filming for this started in December. Being slightly conspiratorial about this, Klopp told Fenway about his decision in November.
Yeah.
Do we think it's possible or even plausible that Fenway said, "Hey, Kloppo, since you're leaving, and we totally respect that. I know you've been against this in the past. Fair enough. But this is a massive story. Your final 6 months at the club. We're not going to tell anybody you're leaving. How about we let the cameras in? Would you be okay with it?"
Yeah, but I think also from his point of view, it's probably the right time of all the 9 years he spent there. This is the legacy bit, really, isn't it? And especially if this season finishes on an amazing high where you win the league, you win maybe the Europa League, you win one of the cups, I don't know, all of that. Maybe even for himself, just to keep, at home under the TV, to show the kids and the grandkids and the great-grandkids what that season was about, the last 6 months of that season was about in terms of legacy more than anything else. So, I mean, I have to say, I'd be excited to watch it because, one, whether he overplays it or not, I think he's a great guy to do that kind of stuff, like Pep.
I don't think he's capable of overplaying. I think it's just what he is. Yeah,
because some people are not really at ease to talk about themselves. I think he's very comfortable to talk about himself.
Yeah.
So I think it would work great, and maybe it was just a case of like, okay, 6 months left, we're in a very strong position, everything is great. Trust me, had they been 10th in the table, there would be no documentary, no filming, nothing. So fair enough.
All right, let's move on to Chelsea.
Pochettino said yes to one on his first season at Chelsea?
I'm sorry?
As Pochettino said yes on a documentary on his first season at Chelsea?
You know what? They may well have. It looks like at Chelsea they're selling everything. So there's stuff where like they're going to make the Hilton hotel room in the stands. They had the idiots brushing their teeth.
That new movie that they're trying to promote that Todd Brady is producing or executive producer. They've got the name on the clubs, like tops and
they're trying to monitor.
Listen,
I want to be fair to Bowley and Bali. They said they're going to, when they came over, they said, the Premier League's about 20 years behind in terms of monetizing and stuff like that. So let's sell whatever's nailed down. Although, funnily enough, he's a part owner of the LA Dodgers, as you know,
Yeah.
right? If you watch Dodgers baseball, it's not like there's logos. It doesn't look like NASCAR with logos all over the place. Like, they do monetize a lot, but they don't
Some
actually.
stuff are sacred. Yeah, exactly.
But whatever. I don't have an issue with that. But going through this, if we had to assess Pochettino kind of just past the halfway mark, 6 months in, when we look at this, and the lens I like to use is I try to imagine, okay, let's imagine Chelsea in 2 years' time winning a title or competing for the Premier League or the Champions League, right? Which of these players are actually there from in terms of the guys who are playing, how many guys do we actually see progressing? Yeah. So if we go through this area by area, goalkeeper Petrovic is playing right now.
He's doing well, yeah.
He's doing well, but I mean, he'd have to continue progressing significantly.
Yeah.
Robert Sanchez is the number one, was the number one. He's obviously injured now. I'm not a Robert Sanchez guy.
Well, nobody is. Really.
I'm not sure either one of these two is a league-winning goalkeeper, or have shown us that they could be that one day.
And neither is Kepa, by the way. Still.
And Kepa, less said the better. When we look at the back four, who, by the way, last night, was it the third goal where he runs in between Thiago Silva and Badiashile?
The first goal. Jordan, the first goal, yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, how does that happen?
I don't know, man. And he gets a bit lucky, of course.
He gets a little deflection, and maybe the ball hits his hand. But
listen, Badiashile signed a year ago now. It was last January. And I did say at the time, he's not ready for this level. This is not a criticism of him. He's a young player. He made mistakes at Monaco when he was there. He made mistakes when he played for the France youth teams. He had a couple of games, and I had some Chelsea fans coming after me saying, "Oh, you talk nonsense." Blah, blah. I think now you can see, and again, he's still very young. He will become a good defender because he's got a lot of potential. But right now, at this level, in a team like this that is not functioning well, a team that is a bit lost, you see the problem. And it's not just, yesterday was a terrible game for Badiashile.
And for Thiago Silva. We have to, we can't just keep...
Yeah, but Thiago Silva is 38. What do you expect from him?
Well, we love Thiago Silva, but we have to concede that yesterday was one of his worst games.
Of course it was. But I'm not even sure he can play in the back four anymore, full stop, right? Yeah. I think he would be much better in the back three. And in the back four, fair enough. If you partner him with someone like Badiashile, then the pressure would be far too much.
So Chelsea, obviously, they have a million central defenders, not including Chalobah, who has disappeared off the face of the earth with the magical muscular injury, which has kept him out forever. And I think there's something there. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure we'll find out if he ever leaves the club. There's Fofana to come back. There's Disasi in the mix, who I don't like it when he plays fullback, but I kind of feel that if you look at them as a group and we project forward a couple of years, if Fofana ever comes back to his level, I think Badiashile can develop. I think that the tools are there. Levi Colwill, the tools are there.
Colwill is better than Badiashile.
I think they're okay. If we use the criteria, 2 years' time, Chelsea are competing for a title. Are those guys there? I would argue, as a unit, I don't think this is where you need to add another piece.
No, unless you want a bit of experience once Thiago. Yeah. Thiago will go at the end of the season. Come on, the fairy tale can't last much longer, I think. So maybe you might need a bit of that.
The fullbacks is where I start getting really, really lost. Obviously, Reece James has had an incredible amount of injuries. At some point, you're going to have to make a call and decide, is Reece James ever going to be a regular for us? Yeah?
Yeah. It should be really. Like there's a solution to that problem, surely. It's not possible that for the next 10 years of his career, he still gets injured 6 months of the year. It's not possible.
It's on the left where I get a little bit lost.
You're not a Chilwell fan, that's why.
Well, I don't think Pochettino's a Chilwell fan, more importantly.
Yeah, maybe.
And I'm sure Pochettino wants to play with two attacking fullbacks.
Yeah.
Because we've seen kind of that weirdo 3.5 where he puts Disasi in one. But it's not weird. I mean, it's necessary in certain games. But I don't know that it works with this personnel at Chelsea, right? And this is why Cucurella keeps popping up.
Yeah, Colwill at left back. I think he likes the idea of Colwill at left back.
And then Reece James at right back.
Yeah, and more attacking. Or Gusto even, if you like Malo Gusto, who again is still very young and can attack. I'm not so sure how much he can defend. So, yeah.
All right, midfield, I think it's fair to say Enzo hasn't lived up to his price tag, but it doesn't mean that he can't be a starter when he a starter in midfield on a Chelsea team that fights for the title, right?
Yeah, the problem for Enzo, and I think I said it after the Preston game in the FA Cup, which I covered for ESPN, Enzo cannot play if there is no movement around him. This is for me, it's a very simple issue to solve. You can give the ball to Enzo as much as you want, in any position you want, if around him there's no movement. And against Preston, and I know Preston, they ended up winning. Preston are now a very good team, etc. What do you want? He was literally like, there's just nothing. He gave one great ball in that game, for example, again to Cole Palmer, who beat the offside trap in a way, made a really good run. The ball was perfect, and then Cole Palmer, I think, was a little bit too easy in front of goal and missed it. But if there's no movement around, for Enzo, it's impossible to... All his passing game is about finding the right player, the free player, the right pass, the right space. If there's no movement, if there's no spaces, there's one, I think, for Sterling maybe yesterday in the Liverpool game. But again, it's not just... So if Sterling keeps wanting the ball to feet, and Palmer the same, and Madueke the same, and Caicedo the same, or Broja, and Nkunku, Enzo is there. He's not there, Enzo, to find a pass from me to you, Gabby, 2 meters apart.
But that's on the coach.
Yeah.
That's on Pochettino.
So
get these people to move.
Yeah, and I think, of course, Enzo can always do better. Of course he can, and can do more. But I just think that is really not helped by the lack of, again, we go back to structure into this team, and just to the lack of movement and the lack of patterns of plays and everything.
Okay, I don't think it's a secret that Moises Caicedo's been terrible since his move. It's also true that he's very young.
Yeah.
Lavia has been missing in action since his move.
Yeah.
I think given the amount of money invested in them, it's just the reality that, and the fact that they're young players, you're not going to make a change there. You have to give them more time to find out if they're any good. It's just not. It's not viable.
But Caicedo hasn't become a bad player. This has that narrative.
No, he's just a player who plays badly.
But again, I think Caicedo is very good in a very structured team. It's very simple.
Okay, but then you keep pointing.
But you can't have Gallagher. Gallagher, Enzo, and Caicedo doesn't work. I'm not a fan of Gallagher, as you know. I understand people who are fans of him. Good if that's the kind of player that you like.
At least he moves. You talked about lack of movement. He moves a lot.
Yeah, he moves too much. I read a quote the other day of Tuchel saying, at 4 a.m. you can wake him up and he's going to run everywhere for you. And he's going to... This is not the football I like and the players I like. And I think that midfield three that Pochettino has tried so many times just doesn't work.
All right. Well, we didn't see it last night. Obviously, it was a slightly different
and Gallagher
setup.
come off at half-time. There's a reason why he came off at half-time.
That first half was really hard.
Yeah.
Was hard to watch. Moving on to the wingers. I mean, I don't want to make fun here, but Madueke, Mudryk, Sterling had his moments this season.
He's a good player.
2 years, he can maybe still contribute. Maybe Sterling, if he's happy and he can maintain his level. I mean, he seems very motivated, which I guess is good. As a group, though, you're in that same situation. If 2 years from now, if Chelsea are fighting for the title, Madueke and Mudryk have to be a lot better than they are now. Yeah,
But the highest ceiling is Mudryk, right? Compared to Madueke?
You know what? I thought so, but on the other hand, I get it. You're really, really fast. Chelsea's, I think, first chance was in the second half after
that
Mudryk came on, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, I think he doesn't sort his feet out correctly, because it's not like the ball is that far in front of him that he has to stretch the way he does if he paces his impact correctly. I think he's got opportunity to take a touch, right? Yeah. Or if you want to hit it first time, arrive in a more coordinated position. I mean, he's been here a year.
Yeah.
It's not like before he was playing chess. No, he was playing football before too. He wasn't doing stuff like this. Yeah. He really has to improve. And again, because of the money that they've spent on them, they're going to have to. Madueke, if they want to shift him, they can shift him.
Yeah, it's easy to shift.
Mudryk, that's an issue.
Yeah, but for Mudryk, to be fair, I think you can see the potential. And for him, I would say a lot of it will be down to individual coaching. And that's where I want to see Pochettino. If Pochettino can't make this team as a team collectively work, okay, he can't. Maybe he's not very good, like you think.
Well, I'm not saying Pochettino's not very good. I'm just saying, I haven't seen it. Oh no, Mudryk. Sorry, yeah.
No. But even Poch, if he can't get this team together to play well with movement,
but we've seen Pochettino do that at Spurs.
Yeah, but only at Spurs, really, and a bit at Southampton.
And at Southampton.
But
and
in
at
a different
Espanyol.
environment.
right? It's only Paris Saint-Germain where he wasn't able to do it. Right?
Yeah.
But I think Paris Saint-Germain, you've got so much,
and Chelsea so far.
And Chelsea so far, I don't think he can be happy with it. And he knows that next season, if they qualify for Europe, and at this stage it's not clear that they will at all, he's going to have less time to work with these players.
Yeah, but for Mudryk, the others, like we said, Enzo and Caicedo, are still very dependent of the collective around them. For Mudryk to improve, I think this is a lot of individual coaching. What you do when with the ball, because it's a lot about decision making. Like you said, on the chance that Gusto gives him in that game against Liverpool, there's a lot of moments where he crosses when he shouldn't, he shoots when he shouldn't, he dribbles when he shouldn't. All of that. That's individual coaching. Whether there's a good, good movement around him, that doesn't really change so much for him in the player that he is. Right. So that's, for me, that's where I expect Pochettino to do well, by developing someone like Mudryk, developing someone like Palmer, although Palmer is obviously much higher than Mudryk in his own development.
Well, but again, with Palmer, though, I always find this mystifying, is we've seen him be arguably Chelsea's best player, but then he also has entire games where he really struggles, where he misses chances, where I don't know if it's Pochettino's instructions to go and find positions, but he always ends up on the right. I just wonder. I wonder about that. I wonder if that's part of the reason he's no longer at Manchester City. It's weird to have somebody miss so many big opportunities, so many misplaced passes.
So the Middlesbrough away game in the League Cup. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. That's
last night. Didn't pull up. I mean, he missed chances, but he didn't.
Yeah, but that was not.
He didn't impact the game at all.
No, but in a game like this, he will always struggle.
Nkunku came on, scored a goal.
Yeah.
And beyond the goal had that. I mean, look, I'm not saying
they're
give
different
up on
players
Palmer.
though, different profiles.
Right, but you have to. But we agree, both those guys are people who will be part of a hypothetical Chelsea team in 2 years' time winning the league, right? All right, let's get to the strikers, because I think this is going to be pretty open and shut.
Yeah.
So right now, let's leave aside David Datro Fofana, who did well last night.
Yeah, he gave an assist.
But
and Washington, is it Washington?
David Washington,
yeah,
whatever.
Okay. No thanks.
So we're in a situation where you've got Nico Jackson and Armando Broja.
Yeah.
Nico Jackson is beyond raw, and I just don't see him being a Premier League center forward right now.
No, right now, definitely not.
Maybe he gets there. I don't think that he gets there playing every game with all the pressure of being the only real option.
Yeah.
Broja, I really like the guy.
You've always liked him.
But he hasn't been right since he's come back from his injury.
Yeah. He's not good enough for Chelsea. But he's not good enough.
Chelsea have quoted 50 million for him.
I think.
This is what I don't understand. Well, I don't understand two things. One is, why would you send him away? The transfer window shuts in a couple hours. Maybe they'll sign somebody in the meantime. Maybe Lewandowski's on his way over. I don't know. But why would you move your only center forward and leave you with just Palmer?
Because they need money. They really need money. So they need to sell. I mean, they sold. I mean, Maatsen obviously, but especially the product of the academies, which is a straight profit into your account. Whether it's a 5 million loan fee. I mean, the 5 million loan fee is not going to move the needle that much, but still, it's still money coming in. I think they quoted the 50 thinking like, hey, let's try this, which is completely. I cannot believe that someone like Paul Winstanley or Lawrence Stewart, people who are experienced sporting directors, really, this has to come from our friend Todd Bowley, who just think, 50. I know, Todd, we can't do that. Yeah, 50. I want 50. Come on. It can't be anything else. You can't have 50 million for Armando Broja.
Is it? But the thinking is, going forward, if they're going to win the title in 2 years' time, it's not going to be Broja and Jackson starting.
No. Not even. I don't even think Nkunku. You can play Nkunku there, and he did well yesterday when he came on as a 9. But we've explained many times that to get the best out of him, he needs to play off a striker, like a proper striker, which then means, okay, would you play Cole Palmer? You could play Palmer and...
But you said proper striker.
Yeah, and Sterling somewhere behind the striker. I don't know. Then it becomes difficult, but at least you've got options. But yeah, we've said it last summer. We said it again all through the first 6 months of the season. Their goal difference is +1. They've played everybody once now, at least. At least everybody once. They're 10th in the table. They've won 9 games. They lost 9 games. This is just like, I mean, +1 goal difference, really?
I've said it before. I'm a Poch guy. I do think, and obviously they've been hit really, really hard with injuries, and they didn't have the players they wanted. And so obviously in terms of chemistry and patterns of play and whatever, you're going to be behind. But they've also kept the same lineup for long enough and the same structure. And I'm thinking Enzo and Caicedo. Well, you were talking about the movement in midfield. Enzo, Caicedo, and Gallagher have generally been around all season. So is Cole Palmer, right?
Yeah.
I expect more from those guys. And what you said about the wingers too. You know, Sterling and Mudryk have generally been fit most of the season.
Yeah.
So is Madueke. He didn't like Madueke at the beginning. You expect more.
100%.
And sometimes this building process, like there's no progress for 6 months, and then all of a sudden you have an accelerating progress. It's not necessarily a gradual thing. But I think we need to see that. It's February now. We need to see that from Chelsea between now and May.
100%. And for me, Poch is the biggest responsible for it.